Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charlotte.
I'm Justin.
What's on our table today?
Signorie.
Signorie is a game that plays 2 to 4 players.
Yep.
It can take you in between an hour to 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the icon says on the box, if you've had 12 birthday cakes, you're old enough to play.
There you go.
It's published by What's Your Game?
Right on. It's not even on screen.
Almost. A little bit further.
Close enough.
Go. Awesome.
Okay. All right, so what do you think about the components of Signorie?
I like the components of Signorie. It's good standard meeples.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of wood, I mean.
Yep.
The shapes of the meeples are different, though, because you have little men ones standing like this,
yep,
and you have the little ladies with their dresses on, which is cute.
Yes, and it's very good. It's easy to distinguish between the two.
It is.
Yep.
And I like that they have purple for a player color, because if you can't have pink, it's nice to be able to choose purple.
There you go.
Yes, that's my slogan.
Cool.
The cardboard is a good, thick, quality cardboard. I have to say it's about Carcassonne thickness.
Yep.
Maybe just a little bit thinner, but it's a good quality thickness of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
The dice are plastic, and they have pointy corners instead of rounded corners. So they don't roll quite as randomly as other dice.
Yeah.
But they're good standard dice with numbers on them, which is easier sometimes to see than pips.
Yeah. I think the only negative I have with the components is the board itself. The board is 6 pieces to fold out, and the middle goes right through the middle of where these assignment tiles go, which means if you grab them and you're trying to like rake them off or something, sometimes it gets stuck in there, which
you could accidentally
dings.
rip your board.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, our board here is showing a lot of wear already.
Yeah.
And we haven't had the game very long.
No.
So I'm not sure if it's just our board or if it's across like all the games, but I find the board is a little bit
Not the best.
maybe not the highest quality of some of the other boards that we have, just comparing it to other games. It's a problem that we haven't really had with a lot of our games, so it makes us notice it.
Yep.
Now, as far as the art and everything goes, I think it goes with the theme of the game.
Yes.
I mean, especially with how they have the art on the cover. I mean, the art that you get in the box matches what's on the outside of the cover.
Yeah.
It's not the most beautifulest art in the whole entire world, though.
Even though this artwork for the families kind of goes with it, like the rest of the board really could have done, really could have used a bit of an upgrade, because it sometimes it's kind of difficult to see what's what, because all of it is the same shade.
It's monotone.
And it just blends together way too much.
But it may be realistically artistic for the era in which they're putting the theme in.
Yeah, it does kind of go with the theme.
It's just, to me, with my eyeballs, it's not the most beautiful art in the world.
Yeah, it could be better. Anyway.
Okay.
So, some minor quibbles there.
That's it, though.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Nope.
So, what about strategery, which is the strategy, tactics, and luck?
Yeah. So, every round you're rolling the dice to see what's available. That's luck. Every round the assignment tiles are being randomly rearranged. There's luck there. A big part of the luck is taking out the diplomatic mission or alliance marriage tiles. And a really big thing with that is if nobody goes into a city and gets rid of a tile that you can't get, it never changes, which can throw some major wrenches into plans. Yeah. So there's that randomness.
Because there isn't any way to get rid of a tile if no one can use it.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had games in the past that really frustrated me. But you can still fill up the city. You can still get all the points for your diplomatic missions without getting the tiles. And the tiles, they give you points, but I mean, at the same time, there's other ways of getting those tiles. So it can be frustrating, but you don't want to hang your entire game on it.
No.
And if you don't hang your entire game on it, then it's not that frustrating.
But if there wasn't a way to get these just generic banners to complete your 3, it would be frustrating.
It would be really frustrating.
So there's a mechanic in there that, say you only have 2 of these, you've got a guy ready to go wherever, but there's just never that one that you need to finish.
Yeah.
At least you have the option to get this little 1-pointer to throw in there so that your points aren't wasted.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it is...
Yeah. And even though neither of us did this on that playthrough, there's also a helper that can do the same thing, which allows you to go on a diplomatic mission for one of the generic ones.
Right.
So there's a couple of ways of doing that. So that's good. You just got to know that in it coming in. All of the bonus at the end of the round and the end game scoring, those are randomly set up at the beginning of the game. So it's a little bit of randomness, but it's set up at the beginning of the game, and then it stays the same for the entire game, which actually leads to some really good strategic planning, especially these 2 right here, knowing what those are, and they can give you a lot of points. You have to plan for that and go for it throughout the whole game.
And it's funny, in the playthrough you got them mixed up.
Yeah.
Which is good for me, because if you had...
yeah.
Because it ended up being a real close game.
Yeah.
Had you not made that error.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No
more spoilers.
Yeah.
You can catch up on the video.
Yeah. But so there's some randomness in the setup of each round and the setup of the game. There's some strategic long-term planning, especially going for those 2 really big bonus points. But the rest of it is a lot of tactical, what has come out this round? What are the dice like? How do I manage to wrangle those dice so I get the best of all my actions without spending too much money but going over the threshold? There's a lot of tactical adapting to what the other players are doing, because they're going to take that one dice that you really need and go get that one tile that you really need, and that's going to happen all the time, and there's a tail.
Okay, another thing with the dice that's really cool is that you want to keep an eye on what your other player's doing, your opponent.
Yep.
And kind of see what their total is, because if you have a choice, you almost want to take the dice that's going to push them over.
Yeah.
So that they don't get the bonus, but maybe you can still get the bonus.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that about the choosing of the dice.
Yeah. There's a little bit of interactive, passive-aggressive mind games there.
Kind of. Because the dice that are rolled are random, but you can work with them tactically to kind of maneuver.
Yeah.
Not only affecting what you do on your board, but affecting what your opponent's going to have to do on their board.
Yep. It's neat. There's not a ton of it, which is good, because if there's a lot of that, it gets very frustrating.
Over-frustrating.
Yes. But there's just a touch of it, which is nice.
And it keeps the game interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
The last thing to talk about in terms of the strategy is with creating the workers. That's a strategic thing to do, and it's usually best to get a bunch of helpers on your board very early, because it's an engine building aspect of the game. And it's funny, looking at our collection of games, we don't have a lot of games that have any kind of engine building aspect to them.
No, and maybe one of the reasons is I normally find engine building kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to figure out how to get that engine working perfectly.
Yeah.
But in this game, it's laid out so easily here.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense to me that this way of looking at it works for me somehow.
Yeah.
So it's for me, my brain, it's a good engine builder.
Yeah, really good engine builder.
Yeah.
Which also brings in a lot of strategic long-term planning. What am I going to focus on? What am I going to not focus on for the rest of the game? Because it takes an entire action to get one helper.
Yeah.
And you ended up with...
I have six helpers.
Yeah, and I ended up with 5 out of all. So that's quite a few turns that we spent just building up. But if you get that done early, then the rest of the actions that hit those helpers give you all these bonuses.
Right. Yeah.
And that is really important.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
And I do find it interesting how whatever comes out here for your goals is really going to determine some of how your engine's going to be built. So maybe that's another reason that it helps me with the engine building. Because these kind of sometimes give you a direction to go in.
Yeah.
Where I'm not the one responsible really for trying to come up with the whole concept of my engine.
Yeah.
Which is
especially
nice.
These two back here.
Right.
The end game scoring or the end round scoring ones. Those I find in every game we've played have really informed me what my long-term strategy is going to be and my engine building and everything.
And it kind of changes the way you play the whole game.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what about the complexity of Signorie?
Well, the setup's pretty good.
Yep.
It's really laid out in the rulebook. Easy to follow.
Yes.
Now, we haven't taught it to anyone, so I'm not sure about that.
Me teaching it to you, it's not too difficult to teach. There's a couple of concepts that you need to understand, but it's not overcomplicated to play.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about the rule book?
The rule book is laid out fairly decently. There's some sections, they're color-coded, it's nice. What I really like is all the actions, the helpers, and the assignment tiles and the rewards, they're all on one page.
That's awesome.
Yep.
An easy reference.
Yeah. So that's good. I like that.
So as far as the gameplay difficulty, I don't think it's very difficult. If it didn't have very focused goals, I think it would make the game more difficult.
Yeah.
But because we already talked about these goals and how you're going to really aim towards them, it gives you something to shoot for, some long-term strategy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's quite a bit of things you can do. Like each die here gives you 3 different things you can do for each one you choose. And then also, I think if you get helpers early on, like you were saying, that's going to help out your gameplay.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to wrap your mind around that as you're learning the game.
Yep.
The more helpers you get, the easier the game is going to feel, because you get to do more stuff with each of your die selections.
Yeah.
The complexity comes in with the tactics.
Yes.
Because you're going to have to be able to look at the dice that are available and then really focus in on which is the best one for me at this time.
Yeah.
So I find that's really kind of the only difficult part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not mechanic related.
No. It's very interesting because you can sit there and think, if I go this die, this die, this die, and this die in this order, I'm going to get the most out of everything. But you always got to say, okay, what have you chosen? Because then you can't choose that die anymore. It would be perfect if you didn't choose the 3 on the red instead of the 6. But are you going to do that? Probably not. So maybe I should take that before you get it. Mm-hmm. A lot of little choices like that, very tactical, very interactive, very cool.
It's very cool, but I don't think it makes the game difficult.
Not too difficult.
No.
But there are definitely some depths there.
There are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the many different ways that you can get points here and there in the game, also very cool.
Yeah. Like the concepts of the game are not hard.
Yeah.
It's the situations that you are forced to maneuver around that are difficult.
Yep.
Like these tiles, actually.
Yeah.
It's tricky because you've got to have certain people high enough on the track to get these little banners.
Mm-hmm.
But then if none of the banners come out, then you've got to work around how am I actually going to get 3 so I can score all these.
Yeah.
So that's the only kind of...
Yep.
Those things are the difficult things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
What about the playability?
First of all, setting up the game with all of these different bonus tiles for the end of each round, plus these 2 that are almost at the end of the game scoring rounds. Those right there are going to be different every game, which is going to change the game. So I think that makes it quite replayable. Mm-hmm. The different strategies you can take with your helpers each game, because you're never going to get them all, because you would spend all of your actions the entire game just to get them all. That's just silly. So getting different synergies to go with different strategies each time you play, that's going to make it very replayable. Other than those 2 things, the rest of the game does play pretty much the same. But there's so much to explore there, that's okay as well. As for the mechanics versus the theme, There are quite a few mechanisms that I feel are very thematic. Making alliances, marrying daughters off to secure more alliances. Even the dice, kind of like Trajan, where the Mancala, the different colored, I see them as people that you're manipulating to get favors. I see the dice the same way. You're taking a high-level die, which is someone of a lot of influence, or you can take a low-level die and you're not making such a ruckus in town, but you've got to spread some money instead. Even that I see as very thematic. I think the only thing I don't really see as thematic that I'm always confused about is the assignment tiles. So, for example, this one here, I can spend up to 3 of my daughters to help one of my sons go really high on the religious track. Where am I sending those daughters off to?
The nunnery.
Just,
the convent.
that always throws me for a loop. Where am I sending these poor children, off to?
I don't know.
Yeah, and there's one even where
they're going on a quest.
They're going on a quest,
and it's such a long quest. You don't see them until way after the game's done.
There we go. When you're like you're getting ready to retire, and then they come back.
They finally come back, and they're like, "Did my quest advance? That guy in the church?" And you're like, "Yeah, I did. Thanks a lot. It's awesome. Great job." Fun. Yeah.
There's even one where you can spend daughters in order to switch some of your sons and daughters into the opposite gender. I don't understand that either. Thematically that makes no sense.
I don't know.
It's important to have that ability within the game because sometimes you can be stuck with one gender and you need the other.
Yes.
But at the same time, thematically, that's just weird.
I can't explain that one. Don't even ask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, a lot of the mechanisms really do feel thematic, which is kind of neat.
Even the whole influence here has to be under 13.
Yeah.
Because if you get the people who are way more influential, you're like in the spotlight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you might not be able to do like these.
Yeah, it's all about intrigue and manipulation.
Right.
Yeah, so you can't be too
So
obvious.
if you're too famous or you get too many famous people doing stuff for you, then you can't sneak around and get your...
Exactly.
What was this one? Your extra action that turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing with the game and the theme behind it is it's very male chauvinistic.
Well, what was the year that this scenario is based off of?
Oh, this is way back during like
Da
Vinci
times.
and Machiavelli and stuff like that.
So, according to history, it was back then.
Yeah. It's very historically accurate, I guess you could say, because this is how these royal families used to do things back then.
Probably, yeah.
But if you have a problem with arranging marriages for your daughters just to get your family more points, or sending them off to who knows where to help your son get, higher ranks in the church, and then those daughters are just gone. Like, if you have a problem with that, you might not want to play the game.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
But you couldn't base this game in modern times.
No.
It wouldn't work.
No.
I'm not playing a game from 2016, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I agree. Just a warning. If that kind of theme, you don't like it, probably shouldn't play the game.
Well, I suppose. I don't like political games, so... Yeah, you're right.
So, does Signorie have the awesomeness or the cuteness?
It has more awesomeness than cuteness.
This is true.
Yeah.
There's no cute here.
The only thing that's cute about this game, in my opinion, is the purple people you get to play with. And the guy on the cover has a pink hat, which is nice.
It is very stylish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It goes really well with that massive gold necklace of authority.
Yeah, he was very stylish for a man of that era.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh. I would imagine. I don't know. I didn't live back then, so how am I supposed to know, really?
A lot of awesomeness, and especially, I really enjoy the engine building aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if we had more engine building games, it wouldn't be so impressive, but we just don't.
Well, it's not generally a mechanism that we enjoy, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
I enjoy it here quite a bit.
Right. It's awesome that
Yep.
we like it so much in this game.
Yep.
If you had a game group asking you about Signorie, who would you recommend it to?
Definitely looking at a medium weight game.
I don't know. I think it's medium.
On the side of heavy.
Right. It's not a heavy game.
No.
But
it's lean in that way.
Right. It's not a 5 in the middle.
Yeah.
It's probably more like in between 5 and 10.
Yep.
For heaviness.
Yeah. Your game group has to be quite small because it only plays 2 to 4. We've not played it with just more than 2 players.
No, not yet.
So to be honest, we don't really know how it scales or anything like that, but it plays really well with 2.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By taking 2 of those cities off, the board feels very tight. Mm-hmm. This is not the first game where every spot in the city has been filled. So if you have a gaming group that likes just a little bit of kind of passive-aggressive interaction, but not a ton, it might be a game for you. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you like to have your own little engine-building strategy that you can do different from everyone else, might be the game for you.
But you still have the option of pulling the dice.
Yeah.
And you still can kind of block people.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a solitaire game, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a blend of both, just the right amounts of both, which is kind of cool. Of course, if you have a bunch of players who have absolutely no interest in any kind of tactical, like constantly adapting to what is happening every single round, and they just find that frustrating, not the game for you. There you go. Right on. Are we trading it or are we keeping it?
I would have to keep this game.
Yes, definitely. This is definitely staying in the collection.
Yeah, I'm glad we really got it.
Yeah.
Even from the first time I saw anything about it, I knew I wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very intriguing mechanisms that we don't really have anything like. Yeah, and it works really well.
Yeah.
The dice drafting is very cool. We've actually gotten a couple of games just recently that use that mechanism, but I think the way is the way that I've enjoyed it the most. Yeah. Cool. Keeping it. It's ours. Forever.
Don't send any trades to us for it.
Nope. Just don't do it. Ain't happening.
You're silly.
Unless it's for a Grail game, then we'll talk.
We'll think about it.
Yeah, because we can always buy this game.
Maybe.
Oh, that's funny. So, did we finish Signorie as Sweethearts or Rivals? We finished this as Rivals.
It's always Rivals lately. I'm so competitive now.
That's right. Gotta take me down.
Right.
And take you down.
Right.
Or you're gonna beat me by 1 point.
Right.
Spoiler. So that is Signorie.
That it is.
Right on.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks a lot.
We'll see you in the next video.
Laters. They're going to take that one dice that you really need and go get that one tile that you really need. And that's going to happen all the time, and there's a tail. Yeah, lay down right there. That's perfect.
That's
Hold
fine,
the box
Jinx.
up. That's
Hopefully you got what you wanted to say there. Do you want to try to repeat it?
No, it's good.
There was a cattail on your face.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.